You know who made it.
Welcome to the See Me Be Me podcast. Today, we are joined by Abigail Otchere, who is a medical writer at Exerta Medica, a global medical communications agency under the Adelphi Group. Welcome to the podcast, Abigail.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, being a medical writer and obviously having a background in biomedical science, first, tell us what that's like and how, growing up, did you always dream of being a biomedical scientist?
So I'll start off with the last part of the question. So no, I didn't dream of being a biomedical scientist. Initially, I wanted to be a writer. So it's interesting now that I'm a medical writer. So I wanted to write fiction books, but coming from an African home, a Ghanaian background, I was told, yeah, you have to choose something else. And at the time, I was really disheartened, and it kind of even put me off writing for a bit. Um, but then I was told to just do something more challenging, and I was like, okay, what can I do? But what I really loved was science, and I find it interesting because a lot of people think that, oh, because I come from an African home, that science, law, engineering, like I was forced to do it. But even though I was told to do something more challenging, I wasn't told specifically what to do. And I really loved science. Science was my favorite subject, apart from drama and English. And I decided I wanted to do really well in science, so I did. And when came to choosing what I wanted to do, I wanted to be the best, and I've been always told, like, be the best in whatever you're doing. And that's how I decided I want to be a medical doctor, because in my head I was like, medical doctor is the best in it, like you can do with science. And I started that journey, and I got to sixth form, and that's when all things kind of collapsed on me. I didn't do well my A levels, and I was told not to do not even to go near medical school, and not to go even near the sciences. And I was really disheartened. I was like, yeah, but you're telling me I can't do it, but I'm still going to do it. So they said, if you really want to do it, try biomedical science and then go through like the graduate entry route through to do medicine. And that's what I decided to do. So I did biomedical science at Roehampton University for 3 years. And then after that, reapplied for medicine again. And once again, I didn't get in. And at that point, I was really disheartened. I was like, what do I do? All my plans were gone. And I just came home, told my mum that, I didn't get into medical school. And this time it wasn't because of my grades. It was actually because of the entry exams that I did. And my mum was like, well, I don't know what you have to do. She was like, just go and do a master's. And so that was the point where I was basically forced to do a master's. But I'm so glad that I did a master's. So I did my master's in neuroscience, and I chose it just based on like my interest. I really loved the brain. I was just fascinated of how the brain works. And so then I did a master's in neuroscience at King's College. And after that, I still had in mind that I wanted to do medicine. But during the course, I realized that actually biomedical science, being in the lab, is actually quite interesting. And there's a lot of careers that can do within biomedical science. So I decided to take biomedical science more seriously. So I didn't apply a third time to medicine. And I decided to go through the route of lab. And so I did that. But when I did that, I ended up working in clinical trials after my master's. And that was I kind of fell into that by accident, just based on the fact that I wasn't getting any jobs in a lab. And I worked in more clinical admin kind of roles. And that's when I saw there was a different side. Like, not everyone works in a lab, not everyone works in a hospital, and that there's other sides and more, and well, not more, but like important roles that make the whole clinical process and treating patients possible. So then so while I was doing clinical trials, I saw that all the people at the top had a PhD, and I was like, I don't want to do this like jobs, the little jobs. I want to be at the top. So I applied for a PhD. At that point, I didn't know anyone who had done a PhD before. And I was like, oh, I really want to do this. I don't even know how I can afford it. I've researched, did my research, found out I could get a scholarship, applied for a scholarship, and I ended up doing a PhD at Aston University in aging research. And it was after that that it's quite a long story how I got into medical writing. But medical writing came about because I didn't want to be in the lab anymore. After my 3 years, it was during the pandemic as well, while I was doing my final year of my PhD, decided, yeah, I had enough. I just want to see people. I want to talk to people. And I found out that medical writing is actually a role where you get to like speak with doctors, you get to speak to pharmaceutical clients. And it just sounded perfect because I could use my science knowledge in that role. So yeah, that's how I got into medical writing, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a mix between science, being creative, and also helping people. So yeah, that's me.
You know, you originally wanted to do medicine, and then due to grades, you went to the clinical trials, and then you had the opportunity to go and work within clinical trials and work within the labs. And although you enjoyed the experience, you know, you missed the element of, you know, almost socializing and collaboration and working with, you know, doing the right. You prefer the writing aspect and working with the doctors. What was it like for our listeners listening to this and working in a lab? What is that experience like?
Yeah, I always say being in the lab is just, well, it can is up and down. It's a roller coaster. Sometimes you get things right, sometimes you don't get things right, and that's just science. Like one day your experiment will work, one day it won't. One day you're in there for hours, some day you're just in there for 2 hours. It's just it varies. But I really enjoyed being in the lab because you just discover new things. You know, you do an experiment and it actually means something, and it means something in terms of like in someone's health, or and you're just discovering things that people have never actually done before. And that's what I really enjoyed about being doing a PhD, is that nobody else has done this, and I'm the first one to actually come up with this. And yeah, it was just great to discover new things and also fit into the research that is currently out there as well. And just, yeah, so I enjoy the lab, but it can be a roller coaster. It can be like, it's not always going to work really. Yeah.
And
But
and,
then,
and and just to add on to that, so why is it like a roller coaster? And you know, are you working in silos normally? Although it's a collaborative project and everybody's working on different pieces to make sure it all comes together. But is there lots for working on it in partnership?
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it can be quite lonely. Especially for me, I was the first PhD student of my supervisor, so it was
Hmm.
very quite lonely. But then you do get to like collaborate with other labs and collaborate with other teams and universities as well, and actually go out there and show your research. But yeah, it was. I'll say the reason why I could say it's a roller coaster is because it really, when you can work on something, you know, for like a week, and then you come back and it's there's no results. It was not telling you what it's meant to tell you. And I
yeah.
worked with fruit flies, and these organisms have a mind of their own. So sometimes I'll do an experiment, and I've been growing these flies for like 6 months, and I'll come back and they're all dead. And I'm like, what? So like, yeah, it really but it gives you that resilience, and it gives you that yeah, that strength not to give up as well. And when you finally get that the result, you're just like so happy. So I would say it's a roller coaster in terms of like emotions, and just like, yeah, it's not every day can like it's the same.
And as a medical writer, what specific projects have you found to be the most rewarding?
So at the moment, I would say working with, so I work closely with pharmaceutical companies, they're our
Yeah.
clients, and we basically help them communicate their information to healthcare professionals. And I think when I go work on a project and we go to like a conference or a symposium, and we actually see like our slides that we've made, or something that we've worked on like actually being presented, it's just yeah, that I feel like that's really rewarding, because then the doctors now come up with are more informed on how to treat their patients, and they come up with like new solutions on how to deal with maybe a disease that hasn't been yet known too much about. So yeah, so I feel like for me, I don't see the end goal, but I see how the doctors come up with decisions to be able to treat their patients. So I feel like for me, that's very rewarding. And if a drug gets approved, that's even for me, that's like, yeah, great, because I've worked on it in the early stages, and now it's actually, people are now using it in clinic.
And I wanted to touch on this. We could work with SISTEM, working in alongside your sister Donna. So, as the co-founder, can you tell us more about the initiative's goals and the specific ways it aims to connect and support women in STEM, especially focusing on Black women and those from lower socioeconomic backgrounds?
Yeah, so we started it off birthed through our own struggles, and so Donna actually went to a all girls school, and she decided to do engineering, and she didn't get any like much support, and she just felt like she was the only one doing it. And especially when she got to university, she really felt like her experience was really, I would say, like being like the only girl on her course, or being like one of two, or it really affects your confidence, and it can really affect your, like, make you doubt your abilities. And I felt the same. The higher I went, the less people that I saw that looked like me. And I didn't see at the beginning, I didn't really see anything like wrong with that until I started like doing my PhD, and I was like, oh wait, like there's not, like, I don't see any no other person who comes from the same background as me, who sounds like
Yeah.
me. And that also, yeah, affected my abilities as well, and just made me feel like I didn't belong there. So we would call each other, and we would just really like support each other, and that like bond is and that encouragement got us through our degrees. So when we finished that, we were like, actually, this, we got something here, and other girls need to have it as well. This sisterly support, having someone that actually knows, has been there before,
Yeah.
can really help you. So we decided to form System because form that kind of community, and be able to connect women with other women in the field, so that they have those role models, and so that they can have that help. Because if somebody just told me very early on in my career, if someone told me like, oh, you could be a medical writer, if I knew that that option was there, I think I would have probably, well, wouldn't have gone a long route to find it. So yeah, so that's basically what we do through System. We encourage and we connect women with other women in the field, and we also want to be that form of inspiration. So when I was in school, I didn't see many people who have been in who are scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I don't even remember the first time I saw a black scientist. I probably was maybe maybe like a few years ago. And I think if you go into a school, and like if I go into school now, and then someone sees me, they could be like, oh, she looks like me, and she's doing science. Oh, she's from South London like me, and that kind of thing. So I think you really, yeah, it's really important to have those role models, and that's what we're providing, that inspiration, and just showing girls and women that they can do it.
Absolutely agree. And it comes. We've had myself and Blair have had the same. We've seen the same things as well. Like, it's really important for young people to have those role models that they can aspire to look up to. Because if you don't, then you can't think it's possible. So that's why you need organizations like, your organization, and ours, that can really highlight those opportunities and raise awareness. And now touching on the work that you've been doing, and talk about challenges, especially for Black women. What do you see as being some of the biggest challenges for Black women entering the world of STEM, and how do we go about those addressing those?
For me, I think firstly is confidence, lack of confidence, because our confidence has already been I guess, stamped upon before we even get into the world of work. And that could be through university, that could be through like sixth form or A levels time. Yeah, we just feel like we don't have that confidence to actually apply for a STEM role or to do like get into senior positions. And one of the things that we do is that we do confidence workshops, particularly with the younger girls, so that they can start to believe that they belong there. And it's sometimes hard, is because you can really see that people have been told that they don't belong, and people have been looked at in certain ways. And yeah, so I think confidence is definitely something that needs to be worked on. And another thing is just knowing what opportunities are out there. As I said, if I knew the opportunities that were out there for me when I first started, I wouldn't have thought that STEM like isn't for me. And I think that's it's not one fits all. Like if there's creative roles out there, there's there's different type of things you could do. You don't have to be a doctor, you don't have to be a nurse. So I think if people know more of the opportunities that are out there and the different careers that they can do, it will make them more they'll feel more like they belong in the STEM world.
Yeah. And I just wanted to touch more on your experience coming up, Abigail. Just can you share some of the you just briefly touched on it in the previous answer, but some of the key challenges you've encountered throughout your career and how you've managed to overcome them, particularly in the context that you're a woman of color working in STEM.
I would say even just when I was applying for roles, um, I wasn't getting anywhere. Sometime like after my masters, it took me a while before I got a job, and even after my PhD as well. Like a lot of people had already got jobs lined up for them after they'd done their PhD, but I didn't even know what I wanted to do. And how I overcame it was just not giving up. That was my thing. And I think for me, there was no way of giving up, but there was many times I wanted to. But having like a sort of support system. So apart from my sister, I have my mum who always encourages me, and then other people I've met along the way who have helped me to actually not to give up. And now I have SISTEM, so it's even better. But yeah, and also I would say um, some of the other challenges I've experienced would be just just getting up after challenges and getting up. That imposter system, sorry, imposter syndrome has really was really affecting me, especially during my PhD. I just didn't feel like I belonged there. Because I didn't see anyone like me. I would go to a conference and I'll look around and be like, oh, these people think I'm dumb. These people think, what's this black girl doing here? Like, and also I think because I look young as well, like they were like, oh, what's this little girl doing here? And then all those kind of feelings and all those kind of doubts would be in my head, and it wouldn't make me like really like stand out and be confident enough. So but now I realize that a lot of people actually experience imposter syndrome, and I'm not the only one. And when I speak to other even black PhD students and they're all graduates, they tell me that they went through the same experience. I was like, oh, so it wasn't just me. So I think I've really overcome it by just speaking with people and just being encouraged by other people and just having that community.
I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of that community. You want to find people that look like you, and you know, and you can share stuff with, and you can talk about your experiences. I think that's so key. And sometimes if you're the only person who looks like you in a certain work environment, you feel like you can't share everything. You're doing amazing work right now, advocating for women in STEM, especially women, black women, and you connect them to people who are already in this industry. And correct me if I'm wrong. It's like coaching and mentoring as well. There's a bit of mentoring in that.
So, well, we don't
Or is
do
it just, or is it just like networking, or is it just
but we do
just
mentor through our internship program.
you do mentor for the internship program? Brilliant. And so, for who has been your biggest inspirational and mentor for your career? I know you said role model growing up was your science teacher, but in terms of your career post university, has there been an individual who's been mentoring you and helping you on your journey today?
Yeah. It's funny because I never had a mentor before, like until like maybe a year or so ago. Yeah, I didn't even like the word mentor. It had such a negative connotation with me. And I just kind of did everything myself. But then I
Yeah.
found a woman called Dr. Bernadine Idui, and she's been amazing for me in terms of, so she's a biomedical scientist, she's a lecturer, associate professor, and like she's been someone who's been guiding me and helping me in terms of my career, in terms of knowing that I can actually do it. And she's given me lecturing opportunities, and yeah, she's been a role model because, as I said, I never saw it before, and now I can see it. Like if I can see someone who's an associate professor at a university, then I can be that. And
Mm.
so yeah, and she's just, you know, connecting me with the right people. And yeah, I feel like everyone needs that person to be, when they're not in the room, like to be able to speak for them. And that's what Dr. Bernadine does for me and so many black girls, and not even girls, she general in general black students, she really has a heart for them.
And going back to your work when you were working on the clinical trials, you mentioned you were doing a lot of research around, virology, HIV, AIDS, asthma, and flu, to name some of them. Do you think the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has, caused more people to pay attention to research around virology? Get the words
Yeah.
right. Do you think
Yeah.
it's played a massive part in people wanting to read medical papers and see what the latest developments are with these kind of things?
I think definitely, and just in science communication in general as well, because I remember watching the news and then they were explaining how, like, you know, the vaccine works and things like that, and I was like, wow, like now scientists, people are really taking us seriously. Like, so I feel like, yeah, but the pandemic really kind of opened people's eyes to the work that's been doing behind the scenes, because a lot of times, like, people see obviously the doctors and the work, the fantastic work they're doing, but sometimes the people behind scenes, you don't really know too much about what they're doing. But yeah, I think the pandemic really like
Mm.
shone a light on like labs and on like so the effort that is being done to actually bring out these like medications and treatments.
This might be a hard one, but what would you say is the proudest moment of your career thus far?
Yeah, that is a hard one. um I would say, okay, I would say the first time I won an award. So I won a We Are the City Rising Star Award, and I have never won anything in my life. The last time I won an award actually was when I was in secondary school, and I won an award, I think, for like RE, um, maths, like different subjects. And I remember getting on stage, and then all the parents were actually complaining and saying, "Is this the only girl in this school?" And I was just like, "Oh god!" So that was the last time I won anything in my life. I'm not good at sports or anything, so yeah, I'm not winning anything. So that winning that award was really like my proudest moment, because apart from not winning anything in my life, it really made me feel validated and feel like actually like people have seen the work I'm doing, and people have seen like the struggles I've been through. And especially being a scientist, a backbench scientist, you feel, you don't see that people recognize that work that you do. And for you know, a whole like organization and a whole like for people to see that, and for me to be able to share my story through that medium, I think was like the proudest moment of my life. And I'm still like shocked whenever I like pass the award like on my shelf, I'm like, wow, like I've won something. So yeah, I think it really gave
Wow.
me that confidence to continue the work that doing even through SISTEM.
And you won another award, the Baton Awards,
Yeah,
STEM Trailblazer. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. That was yeah, that was a big shock as well, because I had never expected to win that one. And but it was once again a big confidence boost, and I got to give a speech as well, which I don't give speeches, and I was able to just say like thank all those people that's helped me along the way, and also for people to see that I exist. And even another thing like medical, I was able to put a light on medical writing as well, because a lot of people have not even known what a medical writer is, but I was able to be like, yeah, I'm an award winner and I'm a medical writer, and they're like, oh. So yeah, that's been like, they've been big confidence boosts.
Fantastic. And I wish that hopefully you get some more awards in 2024 as well. Wishing you all the
Yeah,
success in the future.
What we're going to do is we're going to head to the bonus part of our podcast. So no pressure, no pressure. You're going home tonight, Abigail. You're going to throw a dinner party. You can invite 3 guests, past and present, and I'm going to go throw in a special one. And one of them has to be, someone from a STEM-related field. Who are you inviting and why?
Ooh, okay. Firstly, Michelle Obama. I would say, like, anyone asks, like, who would you? I would say Michelle Obama. I would say Jesus. And then
Okay.
thirdly, I would say Marie Curie. Yeah, because I just really want to find out, she's a great person in STEM, and I think I would be able to like really pick her brains on current stuff that's happening.
What would be one question you'd ask Marie Curie?
Ooh, I'd probably tell her actually what we've like now discovered, things that we've discovered now. Like, did she think that it would be possible that they would exist? So something like, even like something as simple as like AI, like in her time, did she think that that would be possible? Or like all these genetic diseases that have now come through, yeah, did she think while she was doing her work that now we would know so much?
And because she did a lot of research on cancer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the
Am I
DNA.
correct? Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah, yeah. So before we close out the podcast, we always like to just turn it over to the guests, just to like be able to plug themselves, any social media, websites. Where can people find out about SISTEM? The floor is yours.
So if you're looking for SISTEM, if you're looking for a community, you want to see the work that we do, then check us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We're SISTEM UK on all platforms. And we even have a YouTube channel. We haven't been posting, but I'm sure soon we'll be posting on there. And you can also, through there, you can also find our email. So if you have any questions, specifically if you want to be introduced to anyone on our platform, or you just want some advice, you can just send us an email, and we'll be able to help. And even me directly, you can check me out on LinkedIn, and Abigail Otchere, or Dr. Abigail Otchere. And yeah, and if you have any questions, particularly about biomedical science, about medical writing, feel free to send me a message, and I'll try and help.
Amazing. So make sure to do connect with Abby. Like doing amazing work. I definitely will be following up on some of the writing, the medical writing that you've been doing, because I've become quite interested since the pandemic and just reading on what's going on. Thank you for being a guest on the CBBB podcast, Abby. And yes, we'll definitely, we'll have to get you back on a future episode, and you can cover some of the more, writing journals that you've been doing on a future episode.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much for having me.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Thanks a bit.
Brilliant. Take it easy.
Thank you.